Good morning, students. So in the last class we have discussed about the female reproductive part. Okay. The second part in the female reproductive system is mammary glands. So this is also called secondary sexual organ. Okay. The mammary glands, a pair of mammary glands are situated on the chest region, or we can also call it as breast. Okay. The mammary glands are the functional mammary gland is a main characteristics of female reproductive system. Functional mammary gland is the main characteristic of female person. Female, simply write female. Generally females will be having a pair of mammary glands, which also we will also call them as breasts. Okay, which is the main characteristics present in the female. So let us understand what are the different parts are present in the mammary gland or breast. Generally, the mammary gland constitutes of two kinds of tissues mainly. One is glandular tissue will be there. Glandular tissue will be there, and the second is fat tissue will be there. Fat tissue will be producing fat. Will produce fat. So let us try to understand with the help of the diagram. If you can draw this diagram, so this is the chest region of the or rib region, mainly rib region of the female body. Here various ribs are represented like this, rib bones. Also you write rib bones, and these are the muscles between rib, muscles of ribs. Mainly inside one more muscle will be there, that is known as pectoralis major muscle, which is nothing but pectoralis major muscle. Here in this region we will be having pectoralis, also be right, pectoralis major muscle. Pectoralis major muscle. Then it is covered with the membrane. We can draw the diagram of this mammary gland. It will be having the epithelium, okay. So this portion is known as nipple, and inside the nipple you will be having a fatty tissue. Okay, fatty tissue and two kinds of tissue will be there. So this blue color which I am drawing, these are nothing but fat producing cells or fatty tissue. And we will be having the glandular cells. Let me draw the glandular cells like this. So these glandular cells are situated in variety of lobes. Okay, these are one lobe, two lobe like this. This portion is one lobe, this is another like this. There will be around 15 to 20 lobes. Okay, so inside these lobes we will find balloon-like structures which are known as alveoli. So these round like alveoli. These are alveoli. So alveoli are present in lobes. Okay, mammary lobe, we will call it as mammary lobe. So I will write it here. A pouch-like structure which is having the alveoli is known as mammary lobe. Mammary lobe. Okay. So these lobes, inside these lobes you will find various number of alveoli. So these alveoli generally, I will try to write here, the glandular tissue mainly composed of alveoli. Okay, so these alveoli secrete milk. The main function of these alveoli is to secrete milk, and fatty tissue, the side tubular portion will be having is known as fatty tissue which secrete fat. Okay, so the alveoli, the secretions of the alveoli are stored in the cavity. So this is I will draw with this different color. This is the empty cavity, the dotted structure or dot. So whatever I am drawing is the empty cavity. Okay, cavity of the or lumen. You can call it as cavity or lumen. Lumen or cavity. So in this cavity, the alveoli secrete milk. In this cavity, the milk is stored. Okay. So these alveoli are connected with the help of a tube-like structures which are known as tubules. I will draw like this. Many alveoli. Same. I will show you somewhere here. Okay. So inside this alveoli will be there. Many alveoli will be there. So these are alveoli. I will write it here. Alveoli. Alveoli. So these alveoli will be having many tubules. Okay, these are tubules. Okay, so these are tubules. Okay, so these tubules are joined together to form a mammary duct. These are joined together. I will draw. We will simply show it like this. These all together joined as a mammary duct. These are small tubules, and the whole secretions will be collected here. So this is known as mammary duct. Mammary duct, or I'll simply write duct system. Okay. So these ducts, say for example, one duct is over here. I will remove this. I will try to write. So what happens is, this mammary gland or breast. Okay. So it is having two kinds of tissue inside it. One is fatty tissue will be there, which produce fat, and the other is alveoli, or the other is lobules will be there. Say for example, I will write here. There are two types of cells, that tissue. One is glandular tissue. Glandular tissue. The other is fatty tissue. Fat tissue which produce fat, and glandular tissue produce milk. Okay. So glandular tissue nothing but the main reason of glandular tissue is arranged in a pouch-like structure or lobes, mammary lobes. You can say mammary lobes. Say for example, these alveoli are enclosed within the lobe or pouch-like structure, right? So this is a mammary lobe. Mammary lobe. Okay, inside these mammary lobes, generally in a breast you will find around 15 to 20 mammary lobes. Okay, inside the mammary lobes you will find alveoli, right? So these alveoli, they secrete milk. They are the main regions which secrete milk. Okay, so these alveoli are connected with mammary or tubules. I will simply write. I will show. I will draw with these tubules, mammary tubules. Mammary tubules. Okay, tube-like structures. Okay, these mammary tubules, they join together to form a duct. Right. So now this is called as mammary duct. The main pipe-like structure which is having many tubules, mammary tubules, is known as mammary duct. So now here only one portion I have drawn here. Okay. Though say for example another lobe is over here. This is one lobe and another lobe is over here. Okay. Inside this you will again find alveoli and tubules. I will remove this mammary lobe. Okay. These are many alveoli will be there. Again, these alveoli are connected with the tubules. Okay. These are many tubules. So now they are together to form a duct. They are joined together to form ducts, mammary ducts. Then these many ducts will fuse. Okay. So these many ducts, there are around 15 to 20 lobes. Mammary lobes will be there, inside which you will be having many alveoli. Okay. So these alveoli are all connected with the help of the main pipe-like structure which is known as ampulla. Ampulla, or many mammary ducts fuse together to form an ampulla. Okay. So now there are many ampulla. You can see the structure properly in your textbook. If you while listening to this class, just go through the image present in the textbook. Okay. So these ampulla, say for example these two lobes are joined together to form ampulla. Another ampulla will come from here. Say for example this is another ampulla. Okay. So these here from here one more ampulla will be there. Okay. So these ampulla will commonly open into a lactiferous duct. Lactiferous duct. Okay. So this lactiferous duct will be over here. Okay. The opening of the lactiferous duct is present at the nipple portion, through which the baby will suck the milk. Okay. So I will simply show flowchart. Remove this. I will try to show flowchart, a small flowchart, so that you can understand in a better manner. Okay. So first alveoli will be here. Alveoli will be there. So see, this is a simple alveoli. These alveoli are situated in the mammary lobes. So this is a mammary lobe. Mammary lobe. So these alveoli are connected with the help of tubules. Tubule, and many tubules will join together to form a mammary duct. Mammary duct. And so this is a mammary duct. Now many mammary ducts will join together to form. So this is the main mammary duct. One more mammary duct will be here. So this black color is mammary ducts. So these mammary ducts will join together to form an ampulla. So this, now what we will call this? This is an ampulla. Okay. So many ampullae will join. I will draw with the different color. So this is a ampulla, one more ampulla will be here, and from this side one more ampulla will be there. Okay, like this many ampulla we can draw. So now this ampulla will fuse together to form a common lactiferous duct. Lactiferous duct. So this lactiferous duct open at the position of nipple. Okay, so this will be having an opening through which the milk is sucked out during the milk lactation, or baby will suck the milk from this lactiferous duct. So generally the milk is stored in the cavities. Okay, the cavities as well as this inside. So in these cavities, come here. So in this the cavity will be there, empty space. In this cavity the milk is stored, right? So from that as well as the milk will be present in the ducts also. That will the baby will suck the whole milk from the mammary gland. Okay, so this is the main another part of female sex organ is nothing but mammary gland. Okay, hopefully you have understood this. Okay, now I will try to write some more points related to this mammary gland. The main function of the mammary gland is a main characteristic of a female body. Okay, now the second point what I am going to write here is the mammary glands. The mammary glands have two kinds of tissues. One is have, I will write directly, right? Two kinds of tissue. One is glandular tissue. And the second one is fatty tissue. Fat producing cells or fatty tissue. Okay. So these glandular cells, which means the glandular cells means it will be having the main glandular cell is alveoli. Through which milk is produced. I will simply write in milk is produced. Okay, so and fatty tissue will produce fat. Right. Now I will write some more points. The alveoli are placed inside the mammary lobes. Okay, so there are around 15 to 20 mammary lobes in breast. Right, so alveoli are placed inside the mammary lobes. 15 to 20 mammary lobes are present in female breast, each breast. Okay, so now the next point, alveoli secrete milk and they are connected to tubules, mammary tubules. I will simply write tubules, mammary tubules. Okay, tubules are mammary tubules. Okay, so these mammary tubules, I will remove this. the mammary tubules are connected or joined together to form mammary duct. Okay. Now, many mammary ducts join together to form ampulla. Okay. Now, these many ampullae, or the number of tubules will be more compared to the number of ducts will be small compared to tubules, and compared to tubules the number of ampulla will be small. Okay. So few ampullae, right? Few ampulla commonly open to the outside via lactiferous duct. Okay, so these are the few points. Now, where the milk is stored? Milk is stored in the cavity. Milk is stored in the cavity of the mammary gland or breast. Okay, which comes out as a common opening as during breastfeeding. Okay, and then at that point milk will be come out to the baby. Okay, so these are few points related to mammary glands. So now we'll try to understand the next process, that is known as gametogenesis. Next we start with gametogenesis. So gametogenesis means formation of gametes in the primary sex organ or primary sex organ. The formation of gametes, gametogenesis means formation of gametes, either male gamete or female gamete in the primary sex organ. Right? So that process is known as gametogenesis. For example, the process, right? It is a process of formation of. It is a process of formation of gametes in the primary sex organ. In the primary sex organ is known as gametogenesis. This process is known as gametogenesis. Generally, the male gametes are produced in testes. Male gametes are produced in the testes, and female gametes are produced in ovary. Okay, you can see it right now. There are mainly In gametogenesis, two kinds of process will be there. One is the formation of male gamete in the testis, and second one is the formation of female gamete in the ovary. So these two processes are known as different. These two processes have different terminology. So in males, the gamete formation will be generally called as spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis. Okay, which means formation of sperm. Male gamete is sperm. Okay, male gamete means here I will write sperm, and female gamete is ovum. So sorry, the symbol of female is plus on the 0. Okay, here I have written wrong. The male gamete is sperm and female gamete is ovum. The spermatogenesis, which means the formation of sperm in the seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules is known as spermatogenesis. Or formation of sperm in the seminiferous tubule from germ cell, male germ cell, it's also known as spermatogonia. Okay, so this process, the formation of sperm in the seminiferous tubule from the male germ cell, or male germ cell is also known as spermatogonia. This process is known as spermatogenesis. Okay, the spermatogenesis means formation of sperm in the seminiferous tubule from male germ cell, that is spermatogonia. So this process is known as spermatogenesis. This process will take place in males. Okay, which lead to the development of formation of sperms. Next, in females, this process is known as gametogenesis. In females, it is known as gametogenesis. Sorry. In females, it is generally known as oogenesis. Okay. So oogenesis. In males it is known as spermatogenesis. In females it is known as oogenesis, not gametogenesis. Okay. It is commonly called as oogenesis in females, which means the process of formation of ovum. The process of formation of ovum is known as generally, the process of formation of ovum in the ovary is known as oogenesis. Okay, the process of formation of ovum in the ovary is known as oogenesis. Now we'll try to understand what spermatogenesis is. Then after that we'll try to understand the next part, that is oogenesis. Okay, now I will simply write, remove these points, I will write spermatogenesis. Now we will start spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis. Okay. Now we will try to understand what spermatogenesis is. Okay. So if you can recall the structure of the seminiferous tubules, okay, we have already in the male reproductive part while discussing about the male reproductive part, we have discussed about the seminiferous tubules. So inside the seminiferous tubules there are two kinds of cells, Sertoli cells and the male germ cell, that is spermatogonia. Spermatogonia will be there. From those spermatogonia, the development of this sperm will take place. I will try to draw the diagram of the seminiferous tubule. If you recall the structure, so this is the one tubule. Inside one tubule around 3 to 4 seminiferous tubules will be there. One tubule will be here, one will be here, and the other will be here. So these are seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules. So inside the seminiferous tubules, two kinds of cells will be there. Okay, these are Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells, and these blue color cells which I am drawing are known as spermatogonia. So these are spermatogonia. Spermatogonia. Two kinds of cells with the spermatogonia. So outside spermatogonia, interstitial cells. Here in this empty space, interstitial cells will be there. Interstitial cells as well as Leydig cells. Leydig cells will be there. Okay. So if you can recall the structure of this seminiferous tubule, here two kinds of cells will be there inside the seminiferous tubule. This is a one seminiferous tubule inside which two kinds of cells. One is Sertoli cell is there, the other is seminiferous tubule will be there, or seminiferous tubule. Sorry, the second cell is spermatogonia. So inside the seminiferous tubules, each seminiferous tubule, you will find two kinds of cells. One is Sertoli cell, the other is spermatogonia. So these spermatogonia, from these spermatogonia, these are also known as germ cells. From these spermatogonia, the functional sperm will be produced. Got it? So the spermatogenesis, which means we have the definition we have already known. Spermatogenesis means development or formation of sperm. Formation of sperms from spermatogonia. Spermatogonia is known as spermatogenesis. Okay, so these spermatogonia, what happens? The spermatogonia cells, the blue color cells which are present, they divide rapidly to increase in number. Okay, alright. I will take simple spermatogonium, singular spermatogonium, plural spermatogonium. Those spermatogonium cell will undergo mitotic division to increase in number. Okay, so all the spermatogonia cells, they divide rapidly to increase its number. Okay, as this is mitotic division, the whole chromosome number will be remains same. Say for example, this spermatogonia are diploid in number 2n, diploid, which means they will be having 46 chromosomes. The spermatogonium, alright, spermatogonium will be having 46 chromosomes. Spermatogonial cell, because it is diploid, so it undergoes mitotic division. All the not only single, I have written this single. Spermatogonium cell will undergo mitotic division. So all cells of the spermatogonia, they divide rapidly to increase in number. Okay, so they are diploid in condition. The spermatogonial cells are diploid. Diploid, which means they all have 46 number of chromosomes. Got it? So I will try to show the diagram here. Say for example, I will take one spermatogonium or single cell. This is a spermatogonial cell. Spermatogonium. So it divides mitotically, right? Mitosis. So mitosis means the formation of two cells of same number. Say for example, spermatogonia cells will be having 46 number of chromosomes. So here also the number of chromosomes will remain same, because they are dividing through the process of mitosis. This is mitotic division. Okay, the number will remain same. So now some of the spermatogonial cell, they are transformed into primary spermatids. Now these cells we call it as primary spermatids. Primary spermatids. Okay, so these are the from the spermatogonium cell, the primary spermatids arise. Okay, so these spermatogonium cells undergo mitotic divisions to form a primary spermatids. Okay, now here what happens? These primary spermatids, they undergo. So I will take only one. This I will take. Okay, we will leave this. We will only try to understand the process. Here, this primary spermatid favors meiotic division. Okay, so if you can recall what meiosis means, in meiosis two kinds of cell division, or two types of cell division will be there. The meiosis first and meiosis second. Okay, so meiosis, which include, I'll write here, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Right, so meiosis include, one is reductional division and second is equational division. Two types of division will be present in meiosis. So these primary spermatid, it undergoes first meiotic division. So that means only two cells with n number of chromosomes. So 23. So reductional division. This is meiosis first. That means reductional. It is reductional division. So which means the number of chromosomes will be reduced. Okay, here 2 number of chromosomes will be there, that is 46 chromosomes are there at the end of meiosis first. So it will be having the n number of chromosomes, means the half of half cells, they are divided into two. Okay, so meiosis first, reductional division takes place. So by the process of this reductional division, it leads to the formation of n number of chromosomes. Okay, which means haploid. Now this is a diploid condition, and now they become haploid. Haploid cells means n number of chromosomes, means 23 chromosomes will be present. So now at the end of first meiotic division, it will lead to the formation of two haploid cells. So those haploid cells are known as secondary spermatids or secondary spermatocytes. So these are not permanent spermatocytes. Primary spermatocytes will lead to the formation of secondary spermatocyte. Okay, secondary spermatocyte. Then these two secondary spermatocytes, only half of the meiosis is taking place, because only meiosis first has taken place. Now these cells, they undergo equational division, that is meiosis 2. So now at the end of meiosis you will find 4 cells, right? So these two undergo meiosis 2. Meiosis 2. That is known as equational division. Here equational division. Okay. So it will lead to the formation of 4 cell with haploid number of chromosomes. So all these haploid numbers of chromosomes will be having 23 chromosomes. Okay. So now at the end of meiosis 2, these cells are called as spermatids. Spermatids. Got it? So first of all, what happens? This all process will take place inside the seminiferous tubules, right? So inside the seminiferous tubules, what cells are there? Two kinds of cells will be there. One is Sertoli cell will be there, and the other is spermatogonium or spermatogonial cells are there. Okay. So these spermatogonial cells, they initially divide mitotically to increase in number. Okay, because at the end of spermatogenesis, n number of sperms will be produced. Okay, so first spermatogonium prefers mitotic division to increase the number, so number of spermatogonium increases. So those spermatogonium are called as primary spermatocytes. Okay, so these primary spermatocytes, they prefer reductional division. Okay, so reductional division means meiosis. They prefer meiosis. So here two kinds of meiosis will take place, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So at the end of meiosis 1, the number of chromosome is reduced, because in the primary spermatocyte the number of chromosome is 46. After the meiosis first, that is reductional division, the number is reduced to half, that is 23 number of chromosomes will be present in the cells. Those cells are called as secondary spermatocytes. Okay, these secondary spermatocytes, they undergo second meiotic division, that is known as equational division. So forming 4 haploid cells. Those haploid cells are known as spermatids. Got it? So now what happens? These spermatids, some of the spermatid cells, they transform, or these spermatids, they transform into spermatozoa, which means the round cells will have the structure of the typical sperm. Okay, so this is spermatozoa. Spermatozoa. I will simply write right here clearly. Spermatozoa. Okay, so these spermatozoa will be floating here inside the seminiferous tubules. So this transformation from spermatid, where the spermatids, they transform into spermatozoa. So this process is known as spermiogenesis. Got it? So this process is known as spermiogenesis, means transformation of the spermatids into spermatozoa is known as spermiogenesis. I will write those parts. So hopefully you have understood this now. Now I will remove this. I will write the points. Here spermatogonial cells undergo mitotic division, to increase its number, to increase the number. Then some of the spermatogonial cells are called as, after mitotic division, the spermatogonial cells are now called as primary spermatocytes. So these primary spermatocytes undergo meiotic division. First meiotic division. I will write simply first meiotic division. Is also known as reductional division. Okay. The number of chromosomes I will write here. Spermatocytes will be having diploid. They are diploid means they are having 46 chromosomes. So these primary spermatocytes undergo first meiotic division. So here the number of chromosomes will be reduced to its half, that is 23 chromosomes will be there. Okay. The primary spermatocytes undergo first meiotic division to produce cells which are known as secondary spermatocytes. Okay. So these secondary spermatocytes, they undergo secondary meiotic division. Simply write here, secondary spermatocytes undergo second meiotic division to produce 4 haploid cells called as spermatids. Okay. At the end of meiosis we will find 4 cells. Those cells are called as spermatids. They all are haploid in nature. Now, I'll remove this. Now what happens after formation of the spermatids? They undergo transformation. The spermatid cells are transformed to form spermatozoa. So this process, okay, where spermatid cells are transformed into spermatozoa. Transformed into spermatozoa. This process is known as spermiogenesis. So now these spermatozoa which are formed are called as sperms. Okay, the spermatozoa which are transformed are known as functional sperm. So this process is known as spermatogenesis. Okay, so now what we have to understand is, so these all process of cell division is dependent on several hormones. Okay, so what are the hormones which stimulate the production process of this spermatogenesis or formation of gametogenesis? That thing we have to understand now. So now there is a hormone in the hypothalamic region of the brain. Okay, so which is known as gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone. We'll simply write GnRH, capital G, small n, capital R, capital H. So this gonadotropin releasing hormone is increased in males after puberty. Okay, increase in male after puberty means, so what are the spermatogenesis which we have studied right now? These all spermatogenesis only takes place after the male becomes sexually mature. That is the condition which is called as puberty. When the male reaches puberty or after puberty. Okay, so only in those conditions the formation of sperms or spermatogenesis process takes place. Okay, so the process takes place because of this hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, these gonadotropin releasing hormone is increased only after puberty. After puberty, secondary sexual characteristics will arise in the male candidate. For example, formation of beard, mouth tail, and the process of spermatids, sperm formation. It only takes place after puberty, because puberty means the male or the female. Puberty relates to both male and female. In males, in respect to males, I am telling you. In males, puberty means the child or the person is becoming sexually mature, so that he can reproduce. Okay, only after a certain age he can reproduce. Okay, so that condition where the male becomes sexually mature is known as puberty. Got it? So now this hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, increases only after puberty. Okay, so this hormone is also known as hypothalamic hormone. It's a hypothalamic hormone. Hypothalamic hormone, because it is secreted by hypothalamus region. So what happens? This the increasing gonadotropin releasing hormone activates GnRH, activates or acts on anterior part of the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Okay, so these two hormones, what is that? The pituitary gland, if you can recall the structure of brain, okay, the pituitary gland is over there, present over the hind brain part. Okay, below the hypothalamus you will find a small bulged structure. This is known as pituitary gland. Okay, it is present in the brain. The pituitary gland as well as the hypothalamus, these are the parts of the brain. Okay, so these parts of the brain will secrete hormones. So first, the hypothalamus portion or the portion of midbrain. Hypothalamus is a portion of midbrain. So that secretes a hormone which is known as gonadotropin releasing hormone. This gonadotropin releasing hormone, it is secreted on the anterior part of the pituitary gland. It stimulates the gonadotropin releasing hormone. It acts on anterior part of the pituitary gland, which releases or which secretes, I'll simply write which secretes two kinds of gonadotropins. Two kinds of gonadotropins. Those are, one is luteinizing hormone, the other is follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, LUITE, luteinizing hormone, and the second one is follicle stimulating hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, so these two hormones are released by the pituitary gland, anterior part of the pituitary gland. So what happens? First, GnRH is secreted by the hypothalamus region. Okay, so that GnRH hormone will fall on the pituitary gland, anterior upper part of the pituitary gland. So upper part of the pituitary gland, now what happens? The upper part of the pituitary gland secretes two kinds of gonadotropins, or it releases two hormones. One is luteinizing hormone and the other is follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, it is a chain-like system. Here, gonadotropin is helping the pituitary gland to secrete two hormones, luteinizing and follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, so now this we will try to understand the function of luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone. First, we will try to understand luteinizing hormone. LH, I will simply write LH, luteinizing hormone. So this luteinizing hormone, what it does is it acts on Leydig cells, of the seminiferous tubules. Okay, if you can recall the structure where Leydig cells are present in the interstitial space. Okay, outside the seminiferous tubules, you will find the Leydig cells. Okay, so these the luteinizing hormone acts on the Leydig cells. Okay, it will release Leydig cells of the seminiferous tubules to release male hormone known as androgen. Okay, so this luteinizing hormone acts on the Leydig cell, or it stimulates the synthesis and secretion of androgens where in the seminiferous tubule. Now this androgen in turn increases the rate of spermatogenesis, or acts on, or I will simply write the androgen stimulates the spermatogenesis. Okay, so this male hormone androgen, it stimulates the process of spermatogenesis. Got it? So now the second hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, it acts on Sertoli cells. So it acts on Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells, which releases some factors, which releases some factors which increase spermiation. Okay. The follicle stimulating hormone acts on Sertoli cells, which release some factors. Sertoli cells will release some factors which increases the process of spermiation. The spermiation means the process of transformation of spermatids into spermatozoa. Got it? So these are the hormonal portion which controls the spermatogenesis process. Okay, now we have understood probably. Mainly gonadotropin first, gonadotropin hormone. That gonadotropin hormone stimulates the anterior part of the pituitary gland. So anterior part of the pituitary gland now releases two main hormones. One is luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, and now the luteinizing hormone, what it does, it acts on the Leydig cell, which increase the secretion of this Leydig cells, that is androgen. Okay, it stimulates the production of androgen, luteinizing hormone. Now androgen, what it does, it controls the activity of, or it stimulates the action of spermatogenesis. Next, follicle stimulating hormone, it acts on Sertoli cells. Okay, Sertoli cells, and the Sertoli cells will release some factors which increases the rate of spermiation. Got it? So now we have to understand a bit more here the process of spermatogenesis. Those spermatozoa which are formed, spermatozoa or sperm which are formed the spermatozoa which are formed, the head is embedded or formed. The spermatozoa, simply write spermatozoa or sperms which are formed. The head region is embedded. The head of the sperm is embedded in Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells, because these Sertoli cells are the cells which provide nutrition to the developing sperm. Okay, so after sperm formation, the generally head portion of the sperm is embedded in the Sertoli cells. So now what happens from the Sertoli cells? So from the Sertoli cells, the sperms are released into the seminal ducts or embedded. The sperms now are released into the seminal ducts. Seminal ducts or accessory ducts, or simply write accessory ducts. Okay, from these seminal ducts, the sperms will enter, they will travel to retate testis. We have already studied this process. Retate testis, the duct system of the male reproductive part. Okay, retate testis to vas efferens, then vas efferens to epididymis. Okay, from epididymis, the seminal vesicle or duct will connect seminal vesicle. submental vesicle and a duct. The duct from prostate gland will be there. Then urethral opening. Okay, so these are the duct system. Generally, what happens once the sperms are produced, they are released into the submental duct. From the submental duct, it will travel all the way from reed testis, vas efferens, epididymis, vas deferens here. From epididymis, it will travel to vas deferens. Vas deferens to submental vesicles from duct from submental vesicle will join here, and duct from prostate gland will also join. Then the whole thing is released outside